Good morning, world. This morning I am coming to you from an historic and peaceful part of the Malaysian city of Malaka. But the day didn't start so peaceful, so let's rewind a little bit. Now, I was going to start today's explorations here, showing you the well and the temple, but actually it is incredibly crowded. So I'm gonna go up and I'm gonna climb Bukit Cina first, in hopes that by the time I come back down, there might be a few less people. Let's see how we go. The start of the hill is crowded, and there's a durian salesman and a lot of tourists. Sorry, but it doesn't look like many are going up the hill, so that's where we're gonna go instead. Let's try this. Sorry, excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Well, that certainly isn't the peaceful part of the morning. Gosh, all right. But it doesn't look like any of those people are coming up the hill. So that's where we're going. Obviously there are steps going up here. So if steps are difficult for you, you might need to stay down there. But they're not too bad and there's not too many. So let's go up. Bukit Cina is the oldest and largest Chinese cemetery outside of China. It has been used since the 15th century. Stairs are not my favorite, but that's okay. It's worth climbing though, to get to see more of the amazing places in the world. I turned on my camera to tell you guys how truly peaceful it was once you got away from the temple, and then someone down here started up with some power tools, and it's decidedly less peaceful. Still, it's lovely and shaded, and it is quite tranquil. The atmosphere is definitely mostly peaceful. Once you get up the initial stairs, the path becomes more ramp-like. So if you can make it up those 30 stairs or so, then you're looking at, what do you call this kind of path? There's no steps, it's just a path, but it does go up at an incline to get you to the top of the hill. It's not a huge hill, but obviously each of us, our mileage will vary. It is beautiful and serene here. There's something quite poetic about those dandelions being all around those graves, like wishes from the ancestors. I just saw some of the most beautiful birds. I couldn't really capture them for you. There were some green ones and some yellow and black ones. So if you're a bird watcher, Bukit Cina might be the place for you to come in Malaka. I have escaped the crowds. I have escaped the construction. And now most of what I hear is bird song and insects and seeing just like little leaves falling from the trees. It's a squirrel. There's a lot of variation in the size of these graves. Some of them are huge, some are more moderate, and some are really quite small. I think that I've just found the stairs that I was supposed to take up the hill. So not those ones at the side of the temple, but these ones with the red banister behind me. They're cement steps. Look like they're quite even. That said, it looks like there's a lot more of those. So if you do better with sloping hills, sloping paths, than with a lot of steps, the stairwell that I took up might actually be better for you. I just saw one grave where the year of death was 1962. So obviously the cemetery, though it's been in use for 400 years, was still in use up until fairly recently. I'm gonna hazard a guess that these fruits are not Thought I heard something. I'm gonna hazard a guess that these fruits are not edible because there are heaps of them on the floor. So it doesn't seem like the animals or humans are eating them, but I have no idea what they are. So if you know, let me know. They dry out like this. I'm gonna go on record as saying that the path I took up was much easier than climbing all these stairs. Even just the few here are about as much work as I did coming up the whole way. So nice to have them maybe go my way. At the top of the red stairs, you'll find this symbolic tomb. This was erected in the year 1873, but it does say that it's a symbolic tomb. And from here, you can see in all directions of Malaka through some trees. It is a nice vantage point to see around the city. Bukit Cina is the oldest and largest Chinese cemetery outside of China. It has been used since the 15th century and contains over 12,000 grave sites. I had a really interesting conversation with my Grab driver on the way here, and he said, well, he was the one who said I should come up the cement stairs, but I didn't find those as we've already been over. But he said that prior to there being the cement stairs, you would just walk around the hill and you might find yourself walking on bones. So grateful to have the stairs and the pathways now, I must say. Now that conversation with that Grab driver started really interestingly because first of all, when I got in the car, I'd already given him the location when I ordered the car. But when I first ordered the car, he said, where are you going? And I said, oh, I'm going to Bukit Cina. He said, why are you going there? It's a cemetery. And I said, yes, well, I understand it's one of the, most historic and beautiful places in Malaka. So I would like to see it. And, so at first it seemed like he thought I was crazy for visiting a cemetery, which you may or may not agree with yourself. Anyway, but as the conversation continued and I said, well, it's also supposed to be one of the most peaceful places in Malaysia. He said, oh yes, actually a lot of people who live in Malaka use these paths as walking paths and come up here because it is so peaceful. Oh, there's a bird chirping in the tree. Hello. He said actually a lot of the locals use it as walking paths because it is so peaceful and that it's a beautiful place. So I thought that was an interesting turnaround from like, why are you going there, to, oh yeah, definitely, we all love it, you should go there. So first impressions of what somebody intends by what they say aren't always accurate to what they truly believe of the situation. All right, the gentlemen who are mowing the grass here are starting back up, which is taken away from the piece a little bit. So I'm going to walk back down. I think I might actually go and walk down the red banistered stairs and see where that takes me out so I can show you that. But yes, Bukit Cina, peaceful, beautiful. I don't know if you can hear me over the whippersnippers, but definitely somewhere worth visiting. Oh, and shaded. A lot of it's shaded. I think maybe those red banisters there are less shaded than the way I came up. So again, win for my path. It wasn't a mistake. It was a fortuitous detour. Terima kasih. Bukit Cina, or Chinese Hill, was given to Princess Hangli Po by her husband, the Sultan Mansur Shah. Princess Hangli Po was a Chinese princess, and thus this is Chinese Hill. Now, as you can see, I've chosen to come down the pathway, the cement pathway with the red balustrades. And there is a lot of shade here, and it is lovely and peaceful. And you do also get to see even more of the tombstones. So it wouldn't be a mistake coming up these stairs. You'd just be climbing a lot more of them. You might be interested to note that much of the wording has to do with longevity, prosperity, family. Also absolutely fascinating is that the oldest tombstones here date back to the Ming Dynasty. I wanted to point out one other thing to those of you who might be considering solo travel, and that is that I feel very safe. When I go to the top of the hill, the gentleman there asked me if I was alone, and my first instinct was like, no, they're coming, someone's coming, because that seemed like a good thing to say for the sake of self-preservation. But then I was thinking about it and I was like, actually, I don't feel unsafe now, and I didn't feel unsafe up to now, and I continue to feel very safe. So for what it's worth, I feel very safe in Malaysia, and in particular here in Malaka. I don't know if this is a tomb or a decoration, but it's pretty cool. Oh, look, and here's another one, and it's Dutch Square, right? I think it's the Stoethuis and the fountain and the clock tower. Interesting. So of course, if you are familiar at all with Malaka, or if you've watched my other videos, you'd know that one of the many historic areas here in Malaka is the Dutch or Red Square, and they've got like a little model of it here at the start, towards the start of these stairs. So interesting. There's also a replica of the Flor de la Mar, which was a Portuguese ship that was lost off the coast of Malacca. And they believe absolutely loaded with the plundered wealth of the Sultan that the Portuguese beat out to take over Malacca. So there is a large-scale replica, I think a full-size replica in Malacca. But there's also this little replica here at Bukit Cina. So that's really interesting to see as well. Well, that was very interesting and very peaceful. So if you're looking for somewhere to get out in nature, walk around in the shade, and still get a bit of history, Bukit Cina is the place to come. And I think I see the rooftop of the temple just a little down the road there. So let's head back there now. One reason that you might want to come to this entrance first is they've got this great signage showing where some of the most famous or distinct tombs are. So might be worth coming with this way for that. So this is the main entrance. This is where you would come in if you wanted to go up the red stairs. But there's not really a footpath coming out from the temple. You can, though, have your car drop you off here, because there is a little parking lot here. So you could have your Grab just drop you off here rather than at the temple, and then come down to the temple on your way down. There's no footpath. and I'm kind of near a stormwater drain, so hopefully I don't step the wrong way, but it's only for 30 meters or something, so it's not a long way to traverse. That's the temple just down there. So right there, that's that set of food stalls behind the temple they came up through with the distinct odor of durian, which actually smells quite sweet today. And then right here is where I went up the stairs. And we're back to a far less crowded temple. So if you get to the temple and it's super crowded, go on up the hill, come back to the temple after. Your first stop at Bukit Cina is likely to be the Poh San Teng Temple, which I am entering now. This temple was founded in 1795 by a Chinese merchant during Dutch colonial rule. So it's been standing here for a very long time and is still an active place of worship. There is a really interesting little museum at the back of the temple. There's so much history of this temple and the various buildings and projects that supported. This has clearly been a temple that has added so much to the Chinese Malaka community, from schools to clinics to memorials for fallen soldiers, just basically really a true community institution. And again, from 1798. So Bukit Cina was a final resting place for many mainland Chinese people who came to Malaka to make their fortunes. And in fact, it is the age of some of the tombstones in the cemetery that allows them to see the history of Chinese in Malaka has extended for hundreds of years. While you will see a lot of tour groups here, do not be afraid to come and explore this place independently. It is very easy to do, and there is excellent signage. So you're not going to feel like you lost out on anything. Not to say that a tour guide wouldn't add to the experience, but if you like to do things by yourself, you can definitely do that here. So now that the crowds have dissipated somewhat here, we're going to go and see Hang Lipo's well, which is another spot that is famous and historical here in Malaka. Hang Lipo's well is named for the princess whose hill this was when her husband, the Sultan, gave that to her. And this hill is considered particularly famous and historical because the Portuguese used it as a main water source and defended it very heavily. So after being originally a well built for the Chinese princess by the Malaysian Sultan, by the Malay Sultan? I don't know what we would have been pre-colonialism, but yes, was built, was greatly valued and heavily guarded by the Portuguese, and then I believe also by the Dutch following on from that. So let's go check that out. This is perhaps Malaka's oldest remaining well. The well is just to the left of the temple. You're not traversing any great spaces at all. Just a couple of meters from the front entrance of the temple. Hello! Good morning, how are you? Do you mind if I have the camera on? It's okay? All right.
Where are you from?
I'm from Australia.
Australia, kangaroo.
Yes.
Skippy.
Yeah. Sure.
Hello. Okay.
Okay. Have a nice day. Let's see. I want soursop, but 15. That's.
This one pure, no
Is
sugar.
it? Ah. Okay, I'll have a soursop juice, please. Thank you very much.
You see?
Ah, beautiful. Okay, terima kasih. Thank you very much. All right, gotta try some fresh soursop juice. I love soursop. If you haven't had it before, you should definitely try it. This one has no sugar. So if you find yourself here at Bukit Cina and at the temple here, come and see this lovely gentleman who's selling these fresh fruit juices, no sugar added. Delicious. Thumbs up. It was delicious. It was delicious. Thank you so much. It's so good. All right. Now I am refreshed and hydrated. Onto the well. There's still water down there and some plants. So here it is, the Peregi Raja. Peregi Raja? Don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. That's the Malay, the Peregi Raja, or the King's Well, or the Hang Li Po Well. So it's got quite a few names, but whichever way you call it, this is it. The famous well of Malaka that was used by the Chinese princess, the Malay Sultan, the Portuguese colonizers, the Dutch colonizers. I don't know if the British used it, probably not because they didn't tear it down. But you can see it is still walled. So it was highly defended and a very important historical landmark here in Malaka. All right, so this is absolutely fascinating. So they definitely had reason to want to protect the well and to worry that it was going to be poisoned because it was poisoned. So it's called Hang Li Po's well because it was built for the exclusive use of Hang Li Po, the princess, the Chinese princess who married the Malay Sultan. So Sultan Mansur Shah had it built for his wife for her exclusive use. And then, according to folklore, it never dried up, even in the severest droughts. And even right now, today, it is still full of water. There's some plant life in there as well, but it is still, the water's actually really quite high. So for a, more than, more than 500-year-old well, still has water in it to this day. Now, in 1511, Johor warriors poisoned the well, killing many Portuguese who drank the water. And then in 1606, the Dutch poisoned the well, and then the Arakanese poisoned it again in 1628 and in 1629, intending to covertly kill off the whoever was holding it. So then the Dutch built this wall, and it even had cannons and a guardhouse. But the British neglected the guardhouse. Fortunately, they didn't knock it down, but they neglected the guardhouse, so that became dilapidated. But what an interesting history for this little, or not so little, well. So there you have it. Bukit Cina, Poh San Teng Temple, and the King's Well. Perfect way to spend a morning exploring here in Malaka. A nice combination of crowds and feasts. I'm off to grab some lunch. Come along for that part. So I mentioned in a previous video that much of Malaysia doesn't seem to have very good footpaths, and was then immediately disproven with some really good footpaths. But this time, I'm justified in that statement because this is not a footpath.
850.
850?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I have found this restaurant just around the corner from Bukit Cina. Actually, it's across the road from part of the hill. You can see the hill from where I'm sitting. You can order a la carte or you can order from the buffet. So I went with the buffet so I could try some of the different dishes. This is my plate. I got rice and 4 different dishes for 8 ringgit 50. Let's tuck in. Go over the brains first because I love me some brains. Right, now we got, looks like it might be like a sweet and sour. Yeah, definitely a sweet and sour. Delicious. We got this one here, which is a mock fish. Let's try that with a little bit of rice. Hmm. I don't know what that is. It's delicious. All right, that's it. This is my lunch. I'm gonna suck in, enjoy it. I'll see you next time. Never forget, the world is wide enough for all of us.